Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to another episode. Hey. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the weekly download. I am Mitchell Dumlao and this is Video Content School. And today we're going to be talking about budgeting and how to pitch and manage a budget so that everyone out there who has a video business or you're a freelancer, you are budgeting your videos correctly so you have enough money to pay your talent, your crew, the locations, your client is happy with the product, and you also make some profit on the side so you can actually thrive and your business grows. And the reason why I'm talking about this today is because I am managing a budget for the post budget for a big client and a few other clients. And at the same time, I'm experiencing somebody or a customer of mine that's being late on payment, and I made the mistake that I'm going to talk about right now of not asking for something up front due to trusting a friend, and now I'm stuck with bill. So the first thing you need to do, honestly, when it comes to the pitching of your budget, when it comes to a client, is that you have to make sure what are your costs of goods sold, or what are the costs that go into making a video. So that goes into your costs as well. And I think a lot of freelancers and video production companies and video business owners forget about paying yourself. And I think that there are a lot of things that you take on as a producer or director, as a writer, as an editor, that you don't budget in sometimes because you feel like, oh, that's part of my deal, it's part of my package. But you have to really think of yourself as those different departments. So budget in what's your pre-production and how much does it cost for you to take the time to location scout, to write the script, to write out the budget, to even, create storyboards and treatments and mood boards and everything, shot list. There are costs that go into that, and you should budget that in, because I know how it feels when you are pitching something and you're thinking about all the things that come with you, the individual, and your offer, and you don't think about that, and you spend so much time on a video and you realize, wow, when hourly, when broken down, you're making minimum wage or less. So really think about all the different things, the costs that go into it, including yourself. Now, also there are costs when it comes to your location, as getting the permit for a location, renting a location. Then you have your talent costs, your equipment costs, and then your crew costs. And when you are pitching something to a project, to a client, you just have to make sure that you budget it out correctly so that you have all the necessary things like the right equipment and right crew and the talent to pay so that you can make the video happen. All right. So this is up to you. I know a lot of folks out there you're a videographer. You can take this all by yourself, but it's great if you have at least a PA or a gaffer or a camera op or a producer or even a makeup and hairstylist, whatever it is. Get some help out there. If it's a really low budget video, still find ways to get some help, or at least get paid more than your videography rate. You're directing, you're producing, you're also filming, and you're probably also doing the PA work as well. And also don't forget to add the craft services as well, and the meals for the day, and then there's insurance, right? So there's all of these costs you got to put into your budget. And then from there, think about post. And then post is a very crazy beast because you have to think about all the different notes that your client could have. It can be super simple, where all you do is paying yourself for your time editing, to something more complex. You got to think about the VFX studio, the colorist, the sound mixer, even people who are, specialize in Nuke and Flame for CG. And then you also have editing, and then a whole bunch of other things that go into finishing and versioning and all of that, right? And so those are bigger budgets. So when you think about your post-production, you got to think about how big your client is, or how much they're willing to pay for those things. At least get a sound mixer, a color grade, or a colorist, and then of course your editor. All right. And as you get bigger, you can get an assistant editor, then your offline editor, then your online editor, then you have your VFX studio, then you have your colorist, and then you have your Nuke and Flame and CG artists, and then you have sound mixers and sound designers, then you have the person who's finishing and people who are also versioning. So there's a whole bunch of other things you can do in post. Just make sure you have all of that in your budget when you're pitching it. And one thing you got to think about is your profit. Okay, so you need to pay yourself. Okay, and not even to mention that you got to pay taxes at the end of the year. Okay, so if you get the revenue coming in, you got to pay 30% of that. So budget that in. Don't be afraid to add 20%, 30%, 50% on top of the budget that is the true cost of goods sold or the cost of the video. So what I like to do is that you figure out all your costs, including yourself and your salary, times it by 2. Okay, that's my ideal budget. And it's not because like, oh yeah, I make, double. It's because what are the costs that go into that? You still have the costs of your assistants, your employees. How about your, keeping up the business, the client relations, the whole bunch of other things that people don't think about when it comes to running a company, right? You keep, when you get 100%, let's say you make $10,000 and you have to pay, 30% out to taxes and then 20% out to you and then the production company and then your employees. And then that also goes into the software you pay every month, your bookkeeper, right? Your monthly costs. And so you have to think about this as well, because as you grow as a business, you also have parts of your budget that's going to also help you run as a business. And a lot of people look down on that, but at the end of the day, it's like you have a business to run. If it wasn't for your business, your client wouldn't have the video that they have at the end. So you can do whatever you want. You can do, of course, plus 30%, plus 40%, 50, 20%, at least make 20%, right? As a production company or as a freelancer to help you grow your business. All right. Then from there, I actually feel like you should add, a 10%, contingency. That 10% contingency is something that you use at the very end or even in production. That is going to be your contingency, budget where you can pick from and you can actually get money from when there's an emergency. So let's say in post, there was a hiccup when it came to color or VFX and you need to hire a new VFX artist or a new editor. You can grab money from the contingency and use that to actually pay for those mistakes and those emergencies. Okay. Now, another thing you need to do when it comes to your budget is that you need to make sure that you've budgeted the right time for people. So when you are budgeting out production, it's usually you have a 1-day shoot or another, a half-day shoot or a 2-day shoot. Maybe it will take half a day, but budget out for a full day. Okay. You don't know what can happen. If the client has the money, make sure that you budget out for an extra half day or even a day for reshoots or for, B-roll, whatever, or even VO, capturing VO. I know this because sometimes I try to cram everything into 1 day and then it ends up being a 2-day shoot because on the first day on that 1-day shoot, we can't shoot everything that we want. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you are budgeting. And the same thing goes with posts. Post is tricky because you don't know sometimes how long it'll take for the client to give you notes. So you have an editor or yourself budgeted out for 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. There may be a time where the client or the CEO of the company can come in and say, hey, I don't like the project. So can we do another week of edits? Now you have to figure out, okay, where am I going to get that money for that? Or do I have to do this all by myself? Right? So be cognizant of the shortfalls that can happen in a budget, in a production, and all the I would say the mistakes and disasters that can happen. Always prepare for the worst, and that comes with time. So just use that also as a rule of thumb for scheduling as well. Don't think you can deliver in 3 weeks when most definitely you can probably deliver in 3 weeks, but say a month. So when you deliver early, it looks like you're a high achiever and you're beating the deadline, right? It's better to be ahead of deadline than late on your deadline. And then there is, when you're managing your budget, there is keeping track in post, right? And you got to see if you are going past 50%, even in your production budget. You got to keep track of it and make sure that you're not going to go over. And there are a few things that can attribute to that, like I said, in post. And there's other things as well. Let's say you have to buy music rights, right? Or stock footage or other things. You have to get a reshoot. Okay, so knowing how to just track your expenses, you can tell the client, hey, just letting you know, we're about 75% filled up for the budget. We still need to do coloring and sound design. And it looks like if we go over, this much, you're going to have to pay out of pocket or you're going to have to pay us more budget, right? So always keep track. The best way to keep track is just using different types of organization tools. One tool that I use is Google Sheets. Super simple. I think everyone in the world knows how to use Excel or Google Sheets, learn it. It's a really great way to, keep track of budgets. And another thing to keep in mind is that when you're managing a budget, making sure that you get all the invoices from your vendors and your W-9s, of course, but especially the invoices, because sometimes you don't know how much a vendor will be charging you. So sometimes you'll be hiring someone on at an hourly rate, and you can expect them, or you can expect them to do only 40 hours, but they come back with you at 60 hours, right? It's tough because now you're over budget. So really track your vendors and their time and the hours spent, and make sure that you have enough contingency or room in your budget to pay for that. That's another reason why I put 50% on top, is because that has contingency in it. There's so many things that go into a production that can fall apart at the end. It's really good to have those stop gaps and those backup plans to make sure that you don't go over budget and go out of pocket. And so when it comes to vendors and having them send invoices, make sure that everyone has their W-9s and you know how to pay them, an individual or an entity. But we can go into that in another video. And other than that, when it comes to managing budgets and making sure that you're going to be on time and on budget, is to always talk to the client and make sure that you have a really good client relationship. Let them know. Like, if you are going to be over budget and you're going to need money, don't wait for the last minute. Warn them. Warn your client. This is a partnership. Okay. Same thing. Like, you can tell the client, like, hey, we're actually saving money on this. Like, do you want anything extra? Right? Like, looks like we shaved off a day of shooting. Like, maybe we can add another day and then we can get more B-roll, or we can do some ADR, or we can hire someone to do a voiceover. That way you can be more upfront and be more honest about the budget. So you're not just taking all the money and saying, oh, hey, I'm stacking dough and I'm balling. This is a really great way for you to build that relationship, so that if you are under budget, maybe you can add some things on top to give more value to your client. All right. So that last tip is all about client relationship and correspondence, and making sure that you communicate well when it comes to the budget. Warn them when you're going to go over budget, and then tell them when you're under budget sometimes, and just say, hey, look, we're under budget. We can add maybe photography here, or, whatever you feel is right for them. Okay. It all depends on you and how you feel about giving value to your clients or keeping all the money to yourself. But that's totally up to how you run your business and how you like to treat your clients. So those are the tips that I have for pitching and managing budgets when it comes to video shoots. Again, my name is Mitchel Dumlao, and this is the weekly download. I post every single week, and I'm here to help you grow your brand and your business and your career with tips on video production, owning a video business, running a video business, and working with clients. And if you have any questions, please DM me or send me an email to mitchel@videocontentschool.com, or leave a comment below. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and share this with anyone you think would find this helpful. If you're seeing this on YouTube, please subscribe if you can, and tell some folks out there to subscribe. And then also you have my Facebook, and hit that like button. All right. Thank you so